Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. We are going to do a souped up you and them reading this morning, and I'm really excited. This really came strongly inspired, so we'll see what comes out. It's just we're using some additional decks to the normal decks that we normally use. And we're going to see what comes out. We're going to see what happens. I'm not sure why we're doing this. I don't know if it's connected to the retrogrades. I just felt really guided, saw specific decks. And whenever that happens, I trust it. So here we are. All right. So we're going to look at the masculine energy over here, the feminine energy over here. Now, keep in mind, if you don't have someone in your mind, you can use this reading to manifest what you would like to bring in. You can visualize this, you can get a sense of it, you can feel it, you can call it towards you, you can attract it. You can even revisit the reading to do it over and over again. If it speaks to you, if this is what you're looking for. The other thing is you can look at the masculine and feminine sides of yourself and see how they're working together. If you're a feminine and there's an important masculine in your life that maybe is your boss or your son or your brother or your father, you can look at it like that. However it works, just listen to your intuition and only take what resonates. Only take what you feel is, a confirmation of what you feel you already know, right? Okay, so let's dive in. Let's see what's happening here. This is a favorite deck of mine, but it's not one that I normally use. Wow. Okay, man. Okay. Heavy energy on the part of the masculine so far, and I'm really feeling this. This goes along with what I felt in my meditation this morning. Wow, and beautiful energy here for a feminine energy. Ready to be, I feel like, in a relationship. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay, let me see if I can describe this energy to you. Let me try. Okay, well, let me just go for it. Okay, so in this masculine energy, in meditation this morning, I was getting this energy that I would call alchemist energy, okay? It was the energy of someone who, when things happened to them that were painful or caused suffering, they transmuted that energy into a lesson, into a gift, into something positive. And they did this over and over and over again. It's like it had become their nature, okay? And I got that this person then came into contact with other people, right? And kind of gave those people an opportunity for a spiritual awakening. I felt that this person was you, Pisces, but take it as it resonates, okay? And I got that when these people were faced with a spiritual awakening, they had kind of one of two reactions, right? They considered it a gift because their switch was turned on. It literally showed me like an on-off switch. And if the switch was turned on within the person, or they were willing to turn it on, then they could be positively affected by the spiritual nature of the connection and the inspiration of the alchemy, okay? Or the alchemist, right? The alchemist was coming across as almost like, when I think about the statement, be the change, our life is our testimony. And when we are living true to ourselves, and when we are doing sort of advanced spiritual things like alchemy in our daily life, and we're applying it in our life, people respond to that by either being turned on by it and wanting to emulate it, wanting to learn from it, wanting to also be that, which is how you become the change. Your life speaks for itself. Your energy speaks for itself, and you inspire people to turn their spiritual switch on, right? We don't convince people with our words. We don't show up and argue our point and make it and change people. We are. We just are, okay? And the alchemist is a very powerful energy, okay? And then, or we have people whose switch is turned off, and, you know, I'm not trying to judge people, but it did feel like an issue of bravery, or it felt like an issue of integrity or honesty, or, you know, it's like there was some kind of lacking that had taken place, or really it actually showed me tooth decay. So I don't know, like how, like whatever, it's like if you could catch it early enough, then it's sort of like you could still do something about it. But once it started really penetrating and infiltrating, like major things had to be done, and it wasn't just going to be like one person crossing that person's path, living in their truth, that was going to turn the switch on. This had to be like, you know, a major tower moment, or do you know what I'm saying? It had, like, there was a transformative process that then needed to take place, something deeper, something more intense, okay? And it was interesting because I saw this being, the alchemist, going around to these people. And I almost got this sense of, you know, as they came into contact with people who couldn't turn their light switch on, there was almost a sense of rejection, or something like a heavy energy that the alchemist was taking on. It was like burdens that the alchemist was taking on, okay? And I don't know how to describe all this, but anyway, what I'm seeing here is this energy of this person ready to, you know, extend their friendship, their love, their connection, their open-heartedness to another person, because they had healed. They may have taken on the burdens of people in the past, but there's something here where it says, drink from your own well, water your own garden. You know, this person who was really kind of offering an opportunity of healing to so many other people was kind of turning their energy on themselves, or took some time to sort of water their own garden. And there's this energy of you know, then people respond in one of two ways: of seeing it as an abundance that they want to emulate, right? Or seeing it as jealousy, something that they need to make small in order to make themselves feel better. Anyway, this person, I feel like, was really trying to extend to another person. They could see in them the ability for them to turn on their light switch, or that their light switch was on, but it was dim, you know? And I feel like this person, you know, you have this between two worlds energy. It's kind of like, I get the energy of flickering. Like, it comes on and it goes off. It comes on, it goes off. It's like, there's something, you know, within this person that really wants to have the spiritual awakening, which is a necessity. You know, we can't make people want things for themselves that they don't. They have to choose that for themselves. And so I feel that this person did kind of want that. And how this was expressed to me, and it's being expressed to me right now, is that this person is sort of zooming way out, and they're looking at life in a more total perspective. And, you know, do you want to go through life with someone who, when something happens, because it inevitably will, is going to seek to blame and seek, you know, through their hurt other people? Or do you want to be with someone who, when they get hurt, they alchemize it into something positive, and they help you do that as well? They stand by your side as you also do that, and they continuously inspire you to do that. Well, that choice seems obvious, right? I mean, to most people, it's like, well, I don't want to go through life with someone who's going to perpetually hurt me every time something goes wrong, you know, or blame me every time something goes wrong. That sounds miserable. But what is required when you come into contact with that energy is that you do the same. So it requires you to turn your light switch on. It requires you to be your best self. It requires you to also become alchemy, because you've got to match. You've got to be in harmony. And so as this person elevates, this person also has to be able to elevate. And I think this person was flickering, you know, and you know, they wanted to turn the light switch on. I think they were attracted to this person because their light switch was on, but they also had to face something within themselves before they were able to turn on their light switch. And I think they may have turned away. But you see how lonely this is? This person's on their own island. They don't fit in with the people whose light switch is off anymore. They know they don't want that, but they aren't totally brave enough to make this leap of faith and to follow this person with their light switch on. So they're kind of sitting here with their back turned, and there's a heaviness. And there is this, you know, way zoomed out perspective of the totality of their life, the totality of the decision that they're facing, and the opportunity they know truly in their soul that they have here. Okay? So take it as it resonates, Pisces. The energy of the connection on the bottom of the deck is going deep. Going deep. And that is what I feel is required. And look at all the fish in this card. Isn't that incredible? Oh my God, look what's underneath. A time for healing. Isn't that the sweetest card? Have you guys seen the emoji on the phone that is those hands heart? It's giving me that vibe. And then underneath it, honor your holy days. Every day of our life is holy. Every day of our life is sacred. Every day of our life is a gift. And it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to let that slip away. But, oh my goodness. What a beautiful energy. I see why this is one of my favorite decks. If you want to know what it is, let me just tell you. It's called Into the Lonely Woods by Lucy Cavendish. And she's outrageous. I love her decks. They have so much emotion. I just connect to them so strongly. All right, now, you know, usually we just pick an animal spirit deck and we don't use this deck as but I'm glad we did today. I see there was definitely a reason for it, especially since it totally went with the meditation that I had earlier. Okay, so this is kind of the backstory. So let's see what energy the masculine is in. All right. Wow. This person is really being coaxed to the edge. You know, I think they're starting to see some things. I think they're starting to feel some things. I think they're starting to kind of open up to that there is something much more than meets the eye in life, or that life can be a deeper, richer space, or it can be more spiritual. And I don't think that this person truly wants to be alone. You see how alone they really are in all of these cards, and you see even all this blue. The blue is telling me I feel like they have something to say or they want to communicate, but the blue is also giving me sadness and maybe even allowing themselves to feel the sadness. This could be someone that put on a happy face for other people, for a lot, you know, to a lot of people, and now they're sort of just allowing themselves the space and the freedom to feel all the stuff. And when they feel all the stuff, they have the opportunity to transmute it, to alchemize it, right? Or, wow, oh my gosh, this reading, wow. We have the opportunity to alchemize it right, or we have the opportunity to shut down again and to turn off the light switch once and for all. I don't think this person really wants to do this. I think that they are starting to have a clearer vision. I think they're kind of almost acknowledging or admitting that they want certain things out of life, or that they recognize even that certain things in life are possible and maybe even available to them, possibly through this connection. I think they're starting to feel things that are you know, like strong. This electric eel spirit, the electricity, you know, if you touch that, it's gonna zing you. And you know, sometimes when you haven't allowed yourself to legitimately, authentically feel anything for a long time, even the stuff that kind of feels bad feels good because you're feeling. It reminds you that you're alive. Okay? And so I do get that sense here with this particular person, this particular masculine energy. Now with the feminine, we have the moth spirit, and it says surrender now. I think that this energy is the one, you know, that kind of ended up taking on other people's burdens. They didn't realize that it wasn't a rejection of them, but it was that person rejecting themselves. That person felt a call. They felt threatened by the presence of this energy, right? And they could have been brave and turned on their light switch. For some of them, for others of them, it may have been that tooth decay energy, that it had set in too deep, and that, you know, something heavier was going to need to be done. But again, they chose to close the door to it. This person was taking on that burden like they weren't good enough, or like something like that, when in reality it had nothing at all to do with them. They were beautiful souls offering other people this opportunity to turn their light switch on. But those people, for whatever reason, rejected themselves. They rejected the opportunity that was in front of them, which had nothing to do with the opportunity. It's an opportunity regardless. They rejected their own acceptance of the opportunity. So they rejected themselves. They were like, I am not worthy of that. I am not good enough for that. I am threatened by that. Instead of saying, I embrace this, whatever it means, you know? Okay, so then on the bottom of the deck, and so also with the moth spirit, there's a very attractive quality about this person. You see this orange and yellow energy here in the moth spirit in the time to share. This is our sacral and solar plexus chakra. This is what we're creating. This is what we're giving birth to. This is, you know, our sacred creator energy. And it's also our identity as we move through the world, how we see ourselves, how we allow ourselves to be treated. It has something to do with our ego, and it has something to do with our own perception of ourselves and what we project and what we put out there. And with this surrender now, it feels like kind of somebody who is really willing to say, you know, I don't care about my ego. I don't care about my pride. You know, not to the extent of I don't take care of myself, but to the extent of I don't care so much what other people think about me. I'm good with myself. I know who I am. And what that is doing is it's making them very, very, very attractive, like a moth to a flame. Okay, but in order to be with this energy, you have to be able to alchemize, or you have to at least be open to it and be so attracted to it that you're willing to turn your light switch on. Okay, and I think that's the decision this person is making now. You have owl spirit, and it says you see clearly now. So it's almost to me that the feminine is starting to understand that all of this time that she was taking on these burdens, feeling rejected, that rejection wasn't a rejection of her. It was a rejection of the self, of the other. And I think with this person, they're seeing clearly, okay, I could go for this. This is an opportunity. I recognize the opportunity. And this may be the only opportunity I get to have this kind of happiness, to have this kind of strong emotion, and to have the ability to really choose to go deep in life. And you know, so they're making the choice, understanding what it is very clearly, seeing it very clearly, okay? Wow. All right, so now let's go deeper. How about that? Actually, before I do that, I think my dogs need water. I heard them messing with their water bowl. Let me just grab it real quick because it'll make the reading better. Do you need water? Yes, I heard you. Let me get it. There you go. Okay, sorry about that. It's very hot here, so I always try to make sure they have water, but sometimes they drink it all. All right, to go deeper in this masculine energy, let us see. What do we need to know, Spirit? What do we need to know about this masculine energy? What is important here for us? Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, there it is, guys. That's a pretty clear energy. Actually, let me do that like this. Let me do it like this. I don't know, it's kind of a mess, but there you go. Okay, so you have synchronicity, research, stalking, return, embracing, healing, emotional. You know, I feel like this person has felt a lot, and you know, when you open up to feelings and you haven't felt in a long time, sometimes there are a lot of feelings that come through. Sometimes there is like almost a tidal wave of feelings, like a floodgate opening, where it's like, man, and that hurt when I was 6, and you know, this is when I started shutting down, and this is why I felt I couldn't have emotion. And then there's like the grief for the child that wasn't able to feel their own feelings, that had to put a happy face on maybe, or be brave, or be strong, or be their own parent, or tend to their own emotional needs without any clue how to do that, trying to parent themselves, doing the best they can, you know, whatever this person's story is. But it's almost like when I open the door to ask myself, what am I feeling? What is happening here? There's so many things that come in that I didn't realize that maybe I had pushed down or pushed away or hadn't allowed in my life. This is really interesting. You have research and synchronicity. This is giving me the energy of someone who's very buttoned up and very logical and very analytical. And, you know, I mean, of course, if you have been, you know, if you haven't allowed yourself to feel something, or you've been very stoic or very, you know, like everything's fine, nothing to see here your whole life, you may sort of take this sort of distant approach, or this almost kind of like a detached approach, or a kind of a methodical approach. This person may even, like, for example, I don't know why this is coming out, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard of amor fati. It's a love of fate, and it's supposed to be like the strongest philosophy of life, like to build the strongest person that, you know, doesn't kind of ride the heavy waves of life, but is able to sort of be constant and strong in all circumstances. And it's really, you know, I hate to oversimplify things, but it's impossible not to on a YouTube video. It's kind of like embracing whatever life gives you, understanding that that is what is meant to be. or, you know, accepting it and figuring out how to ride that wave, but knowing that it has a purpose for being there. And so it's almost like this person may be, especially if you introduce them to an idea like Amar Fati or yoga or meditation, or even the idea of signs and synchronicities and just paying attention to them. It was funny, my son and his girlfriend were here this weekend, and we were driving, and she goes, oh my gosh, 333. There were 4 threes. And I said, oh my gosh, you love repeating numbers? And she goes, they're angel numbers. And I was like, I know. And I didn't realize she was into angel numbers. And she was like, I love angel numbers. And I mean, I love this girl, okay? I love my son's girlfriend. She is absolutely freaking adorable. But it was like, we had never connected on that level. And it was funny, we were talking and we were laughing really hard. And I said something like completely nerdy. And I said, oh my gosh, what do you tell people that I'm like this kooky, crazy person? Because I'm definitely not your typical mom. And people, like, I don't even try to hide it. I don't even try to pretend. And she goes, no, I tell people how cool you are with all your crystals and how much you read and bake and have all these plants and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, we just bonded. Anyway, it was funny because I just she's an engineer. And so she didn't strike me as the person that was going to be into angel numbers. And like, we'd never had a conversation like that before. I don't know how, but we never had. And it was like literally the cutest thing in the entire world. I just loved it. So there's almost something here that is giving me that like, this person, you know, they may not have known about angel numbers, but you may have shown them like, oh my gosh, 11:11 on the clock, or 12:22, or like even sent them screenshots on your phone of, you know, the time, and been like, look, it's 4:44 or 3:33 or whatever. And they were like, oh yeah. And then they may now be finding themselves observing these things, or even, you may have even shown them that you can Google them, or you may have even told them, or maybe they're starting to Google some of the ideas that you shared with them, or some of the philosophies that you shared with them, or some things that they knew you were into, or maybe even like, reading a book. Like if you were reading a book while you were with them. I don't know why. I'm getting this energy though, like of like actually like a soft, like what is that called? A paperback. I can't think of normal words when I do this. Book. And I'm getting like obviously heavily thumbed through. They may have actually purchased it. I don't know that they've read it, but I mean, it's like maybe they read the back, or you know what I'm saying? But they're kind of exposing themselves in the ways that they are comfortable with. But it feels like their approach to anything, well, let me learn about it, or let me look into it, or let me research it, you know, kind of energy. Well, let me think about that. Well, you know what I mean? It's sort of like that. I do feel like this is kind of contributing to a healing process, or because this person is by themselves. I don't see them with a teacher. I don't see them with, you know, it is kind of like they are just sort of letting themselves ride a wave. They are just sort of letting themselves feel the feelings. And I feel like their only sense of guidance, I mean, they may have their own religion or their own spirituality or their own faith that they may be turning to, or that they have always turned to. But I feel like there's almost this, I'm searching for something more, or I'm searching for a deeper understanding. And it's like when you are the pillar of consciousness in your own world, when you are authentic and true to yourself, and your spiritual light switch is turned on, and you are the change, right? Because you inspire other people to learn. You inspire other people to turn their light switch on, you know, to emulate that energy, because they're attracted to it, and there's a reason they're attracted to it, right? So I feel like that's kind of, this person is sort of doing that privately, but I think they're also watching you very closely. If they are watching you on Instagram, they may even be going through and reading like your captions to try to get some kind of insight who, you know, do you have quotes on your page? Are they quoting that? Are they looking at places you've visited or things that you're interested in? Or, you know, do you have one of those things that shows like the books that you've read, or, you know what I'm saying, like on Goodreads or, you know, Pinterest or something, where they can sort of see things that are resonating with you? I think they're trying to find everything out that they can. This person is much more open now to turning on their spiritual light than they have been. I don't want to say that they have turned on their spiritual light switch quite yet, because I still feel this energy of separation, or I still feel this energy of being on their own island. But I feel this energy of being open to it, of being ready to embrace it, it's like knowing that when the right energy comes forward, this person will just put both arms around it and ride the wave. I do think that they are planning their return, okay? So now let's look at the feminine energy more deeply. Also, keep in mind that these are not gender specific, they're energy specific. And we all have both masculine and feminine energy within. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, okay? Sorry. Oh, wow, look. Okay, so the feminine is, I feel, being patient. Wow, because the feminine wants another chapter. The feminine is annoyed. See how much red and orange and yellow energy here is with the feminine? The feminine is annoyed. I feel that, you know, it's kind of like, oh, why do I always end up with this? Where it's like, they're not ready yet, but it's because you're an advanced spiritual soul. Like, there's just not a bunch of people. A lot of people need the catalyst to come into their life, that reason to elevate, that reason to turn their light switch on. Just even the knowledge that they can turn their light switch on. You know, so much of the world is, you know, with their light switch off. The majority of the people I'd say that we meet, even the ones sometimes that, you know, are more spiritual than less, aren't even actually willing to admit it, or aren't fully living their life that way. You know, yoga is a lifestyle. And I know plenty of people that do yoga and that think that they are super spiritually advanced, who, I mean, are some of the most judgmental people I've ever heard in my life. Like, I can't stand to be around them. I just can't handle it. Especially because they're coming from a pulpit of, you know, I practice yoga and I'm this and I'm that. And I mean, you can tell, you can just feel it. Anyway, I'm not trying to judge other people either. I'm not trying to talk bad about other people. But do you know what I mean? It's like, there's just so many more opportunities to sort of find people who are not turned on, or are flickering, or think they're turned on but are not turned on, you know? Anyway, I think the true test, I mean, and I don't, like, this is just whatever, but when you really approach strangers with love, you know, when you really have that desire to see the sameness instead of the difference, I feel like that's a good indication of where people are spiritually, but that's just my opinion. This person, they always have to be strong. They always have to lead the way. They always have to be the one that shows up and shows what is possible. They always have to make the hard decision. They always have to figure out how to interact with all kinds, when it's just feels like kind of a waste of time at times, you know, or it feels like, you know, I wouldn't want to be someone who's turned off, but at the same time, it's hard to be turned on, you know, so much. But they are a beacon of light. They are this bright spiritual orange is the color that Buddhist monks tend to wear. And it is a very highly spiritual color. I have orange candles all around me right now. So orange may be even a significant color at this time. But I've found myself very, very drawn to orange lately. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this person is confident in themselves, and they are not willing to, they have strong boundaries, and they're not willing to accept that they need to conform. They are willing to be a trailblazer. They are willing to kind of do the hard part. They are willing to stand in their authenticity and be different and be the light. But it's annoying, it's annoying. Okay, and we're all human, and we're all human. No matter how spiritually advanced we are, no matter how high our light is turned on, we are all human. But this person with boss here, there's just this energy of they are a leader. They may or may not realize it, and it may or may not be obvious. They may not like walk into a room carrying the biggest stick or whatever, but their energy is palpable. People around them notice. People around them are attracted. People around them don't maybe even always know why. This person wants a new chapter in love. This person is ready to share their life with someone, and they are ready to love and to give everything that they have. And they just need someone who can turn their light switch on and is in an energy of growth mindset where they want to evolve and they want to grow and they want to have healthy relationships and connections with other people. Okay, at this time I just want to look at this connection for a second. Also, I do just want to thank you guys. I just noticed this morning when I was looking at my private readings for today, I'm getting prepared and meditating on it. I'm like almost booked solid through the middle of August. I think I have like one weekday appointment and some weekend appointments available until the middle of August. Thank you so much for booking so many private readings. And a lot of them are with new people. And normally it's at least 50%, people that I have been reading for years even. So I'm excited to meet you all, and I'm excited to share that space and to, connect with you. I'm also very just humbled by it. I couldn't believe it when I realized it this morning. So thank you. You have this energy of values, chemistry, soul contract, and conversation, and forgiveness. What freaking beautiful energy. And guys, these are not all positive cards. Missed opportunity, indecisive, confusion, overwhelmed. I mean, you can see, like, look, and these are your cards, right? So there's a reason, there's a soul contract here. Okay, first of all, we can just see that. And it already says, the lessons I learned from us will never be forgotten. So there's already been enough that has transpired here that it has, opened this person up or changed this person in some way. So you have affected this other person, which, first of all, the karma from that, I believe, is very high, very good. When our love and our light has a positive effect on other people, it does come back to us, but and that's karma, right? But I do think that is kind of one of the highest forms of karma, when our love heals, when our, not egoically, like, let me tell you how to be, not like that, but when who we are and the way we're living our life deeply moves another person, and our lack of judgment and our acceptance and our unconditionality of other people moves them. I do feel that is extremely good karma. And that's happened here. That's obviously taken place already. So then you have values. We have too many differences. I think that, like, the vibe that I catch from that is that, you know, one person's coming in with their light switch on and the other person is kind of flickering. And in that way, until the other person chooses to turn their light switch on, or God forbid, they both decide to turn their light switches off, until they are a match like that, right? Both on or off, but hopefully on. I don't know why I feel compelled to say that. There can't be total harmony. There can't be total unity. It can't just seamlessly go together. There has to be something that transforms, that makes this a vibrational match, okay? And we have chemistry. And oftentimes, right, when we meet someone, it's like either you feel it or you don't, and you just know, right? That's chemistry. Chemistry is the thing that draws us to another person over and over again. It's something that keeps us engaged and interested and trying, you know? And so there is very intense chemistry here. There's probably a very strong physical attraction, but it's not even just that. It can be like, when I'm around you, I feel different. When I'm around you, I, like, maybe my fantasy energy or my imagination energy, or I start to feel things that I haven't felt before, or, you know, I haven't felt for a long time, or, you see what I'm saying? It's things are lighting up within me when I am near you that don't always or don't normally happen, okay? And then you have conversation, and it says, I want to call and hear you and hear your voice. You know, to me, this is saying I do think that there will be some kind of conversation or contact made here. It may not be immediate here because we do see some things are happening within this masculine energy, but there is this deep desire and yearning to hear the other person's voice, or to, you know, say, to even talk about what we're going through here, or what we're realizing, or what we're finding out, or how we're sort of going through this period of growth. And on the bottom of the deck, we have forgiveness, and it says, I'm struggling to get over the past. One thing that can sometimes happen is that when someone has their spiritual light turned on and someone is flickering, someone who's flickering is so much more advanced than someone who's just off, and let alone someone who's off and experiencing that tooth decay energy, right? So they may have fancied themselves as someone who was more advanced, and then they met you and it showed them, you know, how far they could go, or how far they were away from something, and it may have made them realize that they weren't where they thought they were, or you know, that even they weren't on par with you. And there is, I don't know if it's embarrassment or shame or regret, but it's a lower vibrational energy that I feel this person is struggling to get over. They may not have treated you properly. They could have ghosted you, or they could have hurt you, or they could have rejected you. And that may be something that's really difficult for this person to live with, because, you know, when someone has their spiritual light turned on, they have almost an angelic quality about them. It's like, how could you hurt someone like that? How could you do that to someone like that? Someone who is going to feel it on a spiritual level. How could you do that to a soulmate? How could you know what I'm saying? So I just get that kind of sense of like, I'm not totally ready to face that aspect of it, of what has transpired here. But we're going to look at the blockage and what we can surrender at the end. So I'm going to, now I'm going to turn to the tarot, okay? I'm just going to leave that there. So that's what's kind of between you, the important stuff that's between you. I'm actually going to just move these to where you can't see them, because I like to see the individual energies more. but I can still see them. So, all right, here we go, guys. So what is this masculine energy thinking at this time? What is weighing on this masculine's mind about this relationship, this connection? Whoa. Wow. Okay. Oh, dang. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have so many cards here, you guys. All right, so we've got to clarify the devil. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, the Magician upright, the Devil upright, Justice upright, the Chariot upright, and the Queen of Wands upright, and the Empress on the bottom of the deck. So just take a look at how many major arcana are here. The major arcana are the things that we cannot avoid in life. This is part of our journey of evolution as a human being that the universe puts in our path for a reason, as a catalyst, as an opportunity. And the minor arcana are the things that kind of happen on a day-to-day basis that we can get insight about through tarot, and we can actually affect. We can change, we can avoid, or we can embrace, or we can, you know, whatever. And so you see this as a major point in this person's mentality, in their way of thinking, in their mental body. There's a lot of really important things happening here. With Justice, this could be around a decision. And with the Magician, God, I said Justice, and freaking Justice came out. That was just so weird. It was like I ordered it. It was like I was like, can I get a pizza with pepperoni? And a pizza with pepperoni showed up at my door. Like, you couldn't have possibly made it and delivered it in that time. Anyway, that's what it felt like. Okay. Okay, you guys, seriously, holy moly. So this is so profoundly interesting, okay? The Devil is being clarified by the Ten of Cups, Justice, and the Eight of Swords on the bottom of the deck, which is just saying this person's lower vibrational tendency is their programming. This can be things that other people have said to them throughout their life, things that they've observed and thought and experienced that has kind of kept them. You see this energy of an island. I feel it again here with this person, where it's like, I'm alone. I can only maybe count on myself. It's a way of thinking that kind of keeps this person entrapped in the same experience and doesn't allow them to grow, or doesn't allow them to fully embrace like a growth mentality. And yet this person really wants to choose. They really want to have emotional contentment with another person. And this mentality is what is holding them back, holding them down, not allowing them to make the choices or the decisions that would get them there. You know, they may be standing and looking right at this feminine who can offer them that kind of emotional contentment, or who they could experience it with, but this limited mindset is preventing them from being able to make the decision to reach out and grab it. Okay, that Justice card, this one, came out sideways. So this is something that's shifting and changing their ability to make a decision that is in the highest and best for all. Their ability to make a decision that is fair and that is balanced. There's movement, okay, where they could not possibly have chosen this before. They're moving toward a greater energy of being able to do that. And I think it's kind of by zooming out and looking at the bigger picture and really trying to empower themselves here. They are working through some very basic but sometimes overwhelming human fears that we have. The fear of not being worthy, the fear of intimacy, the fear of rejection, all of these things. It's like they're trying to take their power back, or they're working to take their power back here. And, you know, the Magician is also the alchemist. So they are they're trying to work through those fears, and it seems like it is working in order to be able to match this energy, in order to be able to, you know, harmonize and come into unity and be a frequential match with this feminine. They may not have even known what that looked like or what that was. This person is in their mindset, they are very motivated to make these changes, or to, I feel like, embrace this and sort of run with it, because they have never wanted someone or something so bad. And it can be, again, with the Queen of Wands here, this is attraction, right? This is like, oh, I see what I want, you know? But with the Empress on the bottom of the deck, it's also this energy of, I'll never find anyone like this. This may be the only person I come across with their light switch on. And again, I'm getting pushed back into the energy that I was seeing in my meditation of, you know, this may be the only chance I have to spend the rest of my life with someone who heals instead of blames. And it's their idea that everyone is someone who blames instead of heals that I feel is the problem. So if they can free themselves and accept that this feminine energy is unlimited and anything is possible and abundant and, you know, is truly the energy that they give off, then it seems like that would automatically sort of shatter this, right? Because you can't hold on to a belief when you experience something different, right? Because the experience is the bigger, is the more valuable, is the heavier, or the, you know, is what we believe. When you experience it for yourself, you believe it. Like, if I tell you, my neighbor sucks, right? And he's just a jerk. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you drive down my street and you see that he has a laminated sign on his door telling UPS where to leave his packages. And you see just the, like, everything about him, you know, and then maybe even you talk to him and you experience him, then you're like, oh no, her neighbor sucks because I experienced it for myself. But before that, you're like, oh yeah, she says her neighbor sucks. That's a very different thing, right? And so this is one of those things where when you meet someone who is the embodiment of this energy, who is the change, right? Who is having their spiritual light switch turned on, you're like, no, there are people out there that exist with their spiritual light bulb turned on. There are people out there who, when they get hurt or when something goes wrong, their initial reaction isn't to blame and to shame and to hurt. It is to, you know, turn it into a positive and grow and heal and evolve through the process of the experience of it. And that's earth shattering, right? And you can't say there's nobody out there like that when you find someone who is. You feel what I'm saying? So there's this conflict, and that conflict is what pushes those swords out, which is what breaks that person free. It's like, well, I can't keep telling myself that anymore because I actually know it to be different, you know? Okay? So, and I'm actually trying to emulate it myself. And maybe when I emulate it myself, when I'm able to do it for myself, when I'm able to alchemize it for myself, like maybe even a separation and then I get back together and I go, wow, that separation that really hurt and brought on that emotional tidal wave that I had to go through was actually such a positive gift. It broke me free to be feeling and to be present and to be able to join in unity and harmony this Empress. It elevated me to my divine masculine. You feel what I'm saying? Then that really is the experience, right? Okay, so let's look at the heart space. This person is definitely thinking about coming forward. I do think they're trying to make up their mind or make some kind of decision about it, with the Justice and the Chariot. Holy crap, these two cards were sticking out of the deck. The Emperor, they didn't come out, so we're not taking them out, but it's the Emperor and the Ten of Swords. This person is closing out a cycle in their heart space in order to embrace their own divine masculine energy. Wow. We just had the Empress, and now we're seeing the Emperor. Okay, man, wow. Well, we have the Moon and the High Priestess, both cards of Pisces, right? We've got a King of Wands looking right at them. And we have the Six of Swords and the Ace of Swords with the Page of Cups. Jesus, you guys. Two divine pairs we've seen right now so far, right? With the King and Queen of Wands and the Emperor and the Empress. We've seen in this reading already, and we're hardly anywhere. Well, I don't want to say we're hardly anywhere, but I mean, we just got the tarot out. This is pretty remarkable energy. Whenever I see, you know, if you're the feminine energy, you know, and you're a Pisces, and you've got the High Priestess and the Moon here in the heart space, you know, this is like you're in this person's heart space. This is Piscean energy, right? We know that. But this is also, there is almost this sense of, I have deep feelings that maybe I haven't expressed, or that I haven't revealed, or that I have kept hidden, because and I don't want to say because, but with the High Priestess here, there's almost this energy of, well, the High Priestess definitely represents having your spiritual light switch turned on, right? But it's almost like I'm not there yet. I'm not a frequential match yet. Like, I have these feelings, but I can't reveal them until I take charge of what that means. And I want this. And in my heart space, and I am prepared to go after it. I'm prepared to do what it takes. And with the Six of Swords and the Ace of Swords, this is clearing out this kind of stagnancy in the mental body. This is, you know, I'm choosing to come to a place of peace and acceptance with the past and everything that has been. I am choosing to have clarity and insight and gain insight and listen to the musings of my heart as a form of being able to have success and victory. Like, having success and victory is no longer closing myself off and not feeling and emotionally suppressing. Being successful is now being able to coexist with having deep feelings and deep desires and deep wants in my heart space, and not being overwhelmed by them, or not, you know, sabotaging myself or self-entrapping myself, or allowing, you know, barriers to come between me and what I'm feeling. It's like I'm able to navigate that space with clarity and with truth and with honesty and integrity. And with the Page of Cups on the bottom of the deck, this is our most authentic self. Like, this is what the Page of Cups represents to me. It's the person we have always been and always will be. You know, it's the core of our soul that we, you know, kind of keep for ourselves. It's our truest truth. It's our most authentic version of us, the one that usually we are the only one that knows. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, there's just, this is a pretty profound energy. It does feel like this person does have deep feelings for, you know, the feminine, but they also see the feminine as being more advanced spiritually. And so it's kind of like, I'm not totally ready to reveal this, or I'm not totally ready to, and it's not even necessarily I'm not ready, it's that I'm not there yet. I'm still exploring this, you know, I haven't turned on the spiritual light yet. I'm still asking myself if I can, if I'm strong enough. But I am navigating this space with clarity and with truth, and with peace and harmony in my intention. Which I feel like is a lot, you know? All right, so now we look at what as in this person's actions. Wow, there's that Ten of Swords. Okay. So I do feel that this person is, you know, they do deeply desire, oh man. They do deeply desire to come forward, to follow their heart and to come forward. Wow. Wow. This person is standing at a crossroad. And they know if they want to have this with this feminine, they're going to have to come forward. They're going to have to follow their heart. They're going to have to listen to their heart. They're going to have to listen to that clarity. They're going to have to follow that energy of peace and harmony and unity. They're going to have to be brave, and they're going to have to fight for this. You know, I feel that they have hurt the feminine in the past. They would like another chance. They are willing to put the work in with the Ten of Pentacles. They are willing to show this person that they're serious. They're willing to contribute daily to, you know, in a very meaningful, fully present kind of way to show this person how serious they are. There is this energy of the Star card and the Queen of Cups, which is just absolutely beautiful energy. This is like, I am healing myself so that I can be part of unconditional love. But honey, what in the world? Butcher, what are you barking at? There's nobody there. There's nothing, babe. It is an energy of I am giving into fate. I am giving into destiny. It's almost like I'm accepting that if unconditional love is knocking on my door, then I need to surrender to the healing process and make myself a vessel without blockage that allows love to flow freely through me. That this must be a sign from the universe that this is meant for me, that I am worthy, that I have to release, you know, we saw it in the mental body, these fears that I have, that I'm not worthy, that I'm not good enough, that I will be rejected, that intimacy is not good, you know? This person is also understanding that at first they may not be met with unconditional acceptance and love, and they regret this. They regret that they put up this defense and that, you know, they were not fully closed out of a really long and difficult cycle when they met this person. But there's also, with the Star card here, this understanding within this person that it isn't always about being ready for the opportunity that comes to you. It's about, you know, rising every time we fall. It's about saying, okay, that woke me up, that got my attention. Okay, how do I respond to that? Not how do I react, not how do I bury my head in the sand and hide from it, but how do I embrace it? What needs to happen for me to do that? And when we respond like that, it all becomes very clear. And you have the Fool card there. And this is, I'm going to show this feminine that I am showing up without my defense up, without my Eight of Swords. I'm showing up ready for this adventure. I am showing up in the energy of embracing this opportunity fully and saying, listen, I don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know where this is going to take us. I don't know what's going to happen here, but you have me. I'm 100% on board. You have me. I'm open. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to give this everything I have. I'm ready to invest on a daily basis to see what we can build here. And I believe in it. And I believe in us. With the Five of Cups, and I am sorry. I regret how I handled things before. I understand why you may not be as you know, exuberant about me coming here and telling you this and following my heart, because I hurt you, and I understand that. And all I can do is show you that I am free of the things that caused me to hurt you in the first place, because I have healed. I have embraced this moment and this opportunity at unconditional love, and I open myself up to it completely willingly, with reckless abandon, with no guard. Take it as it resonates. All right, now let's look at the feminine. Gosh, you guys, this is a very long reading, but I was really guided to it, and I know about a third of you watch all the way to the end every day, and I am very humbled by that and very grateful by that. Wow. This feminine is something, all right. It isn't that this feminine never has a moment of weakness, right? Or a moment of self-doubt, or a moment of why me, or, you know, this sucks and I'm totally annoyed, right? But this feminine also has a realization, or like a deep understanding that doesn't help, you know, to go down that path or to explore that. And so there's a kind of a sort of a quick bounce back energy here. And it's like, you know, I could choose to let my own mind defeat me. I have plenty of reasons to give my mind, or plenty of food for thought that would encourage my mind to go down these paths that lead to nowhere, you know, or that are not going to serve me. Or I can recognize or look for the opportunity of this moment, what spirit is giving me with this, and I can choose that. And when I choose that and I stay in that energy, I'm a manifesting diva. I am attracting what I want toward me. And I cannot prevent myself from having these experiences, right? The Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords is one of the toughest combinations of cards in tarot, in my opinion, especially coupled with the Seven of Cups here. This is, you know, where our Bhakti, what are you doing? Huh? Bobby, you haven't done something like that in years. My main man. Here is a perfectly nice toy you could play with. My boy's over there just chewing up stuff he is not supposed to. Anyway, it's a choice, right? And we've made this decision a long time ago that these choices, that it really isn't a choice, you know? I made a permanent change, you know, like I recognized the problem with self-defeating thoughts and allowing other people who reject themselves, you know, to allow myself to feel rejected, instead of understanding that that person is rejecting themselves. They're doing it to themselves. There's a misalignment within them. When I take that on, I allow it to affect me. I allow it to defeat me, to spring up in the form of seeds of thought that like are defeating to me, that do not serve my highest and best. And so I made this choice a long time ago when I realized it, when I woke up to this, knowing that it wasn't about me, it was about them, that I wouldn't take this on. And I'm not going to let this person take me back there. I made this change kind of once and for all, Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers, okay? And so mentally, I am super tough. Mentally, I say, where is the gift? Where is the opportunity? Because I know that keeps me aligned with what I desire, and it keeps me in an energy of attracting what I want toward me. It keeps me in vibrational alignment with what I desire, okay? So I don't let fear and illusion creep in. Yeah, right underneath that is the sun. I'm seeing things clearly. I might temporarily for a moment slip and feel like crap. And then immediately I go, nope, what is this trying to teach me? Where is the gift? Okay, let's go into the heart space. Girlfriend, lay down. Okay, little love. My precious princess palace pet, you need to lay down. You are the cutest grand dog anybody in the whole world has ever had, ever. Yes, you are. But I need you to lay down. Lay down, little girl. Good job. You are such a good lady. Whew. Okay, wow. In the heart space, we have the Eight of Pentacles with the Three of Swords in reverse, with the Two of Wands upright, with the Star card with Judgment upright. I'm loving that there are kind of similar energies here between the masculine and the feminine. The masculine actually has in their actions the Star card and the Two of Wands, where the feminine and the Three of Swords, where the feminine has these three cards in their heart space. And that is pretty interesting energy, okay? I feel like the feminine, in their heart, there is this energy that is a hope for healing. The feminine has a deep inner knowing. The feminine has a feeling within their heart that there is something more here. That if the masculine could heal, or if, you know, if this, then that, you know. But the feminine in the heart space, it's also a deep understanding. With the Two of Wands, it's kind of like, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. You know, in my heart of hearts, I know that the best that I can be is the change. The best that I can be is the example. The best that I can be is to say, you know, hey, it's not that I've never been hurt before. It's that I've always chosen to heal. I've always chosen to find the gift and stay aligned with what I desire, instead of letting other people's hurt and projection take me down a bad path. I made my decision a long time ago about that. And so there is this energy of like almost saying, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to choose? Are you going to put the work in? Are you going to heal? Are you going to release these things that you tell yourself about your past suffering, so that we can have this experience, so that we can come together and have another chance? Are you going to learn this lesson that I have already learned? You know, and it is almost like bearing the witness possibly to something, to someone being faced with the same decision and choice that you were faced with in the past, that you made. And it's like you can recognize that in this other person, and you have this deep inner knowing that they're either going to hear the call and they're going to heal, and then you're going to be able to do that together, or they're not. But you can't make the choice for them. You can only be the pillar of consciousness. You can only be the example and hope that they make the decision to emulate. You know that you have already learned your lesson. You know that you have already integrated this energy in. And that's the most you can do, is be the forgiving, unconditional person who holds space or offers space to someone to figure it out on their own, to have the experience and release those Eight of Swords the same way that you did. All right, now let's look at the feminine's actions. I just said your. Oh, wow. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because this feminine has made this choice a long time ago to not take on other people's stuff, right? To not let it affect them and their mentality and take them out of the energy of manifesting what they want, you know, being the frequential match for what they desire in their life. They're not going to let someone else's inability to do that take them out of it, right? But there's also this energy of, I have to remind myself, I still have to go through the process of getting myself back there. I figured it out and I made the choice that I would not do this. But when it happens, I still have to go through the process of getting myself back to that space, that safe ground. And we see that with these two cards dancing here in the feminine's actions. You know, it's not that the feminine doesn't have their own demons. We don't ever eradicate. Just like I say all the time on this channel, healing is not linear. We don't go through a finish line and never look back and be like, I am healed, praise the Lord, hallelujah. No, that is not healing. That's not even reasonable. No, it's not. Healing is a process. And, you know, I don't know why when it comes to this, my mother-in-law always comes to me, but my mother-in-law, it was like an earth angel, I swear. She was like the most loving person, super Catholic. She would go to the church and light candles for us every single day. And to be prayed for by another person on a daily basis is such a gift and such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Anyway, she was like amazing, and she loved Christmas. And you know, she passed away, just a little over a year ago. About like a year and 2 weeks ago. And right about her birthday was just the other day. She was a Cancer. And anyway, you know, we still, you know, I don't cry on a daily basis missing my mother-in-law, even though, God, I loved her so much. She was like a best friend for like 30 years. But you know, there are certain times a year, like at Christmas, you know, my husband and I stood in front of the tree and we're looking at all the ornaments on our tree that my mother-in-law bought us. She loved Christmas. And so half our Christmas decorations and our ornaments, and she'd always buy those ones that was like our first Christmas, 1997, or you know what I mean? My first Christmas, you know, baby boy, you know, and so our tree is just full of all these, you know, things that I never would have bought, but like just means so much to me now. So we stood there and I cried my eyes out, you know, missing her in front of my Christmas tree last year. And like just the other day on her birthday, you know, my daughter had a lot of like major things going on that day. And I just was like, you know, I could just feel the presence of my mother-in-law, and it just brought tears to my eyes. So I'm still like, you know, as at peace as I can be with her passing, and I am as healed as I will probably ever be, you know, but there's love there, and there is grief there, and there is sadness there. And so, you know, she comes up, and I have to say, you know, she is, I do know, in a better place, especially like given she had cancer and just a lot of things. Anyway, you know, she's not in pain, and she's free, and she's with her mom and her husband, and, you know, like these people that she deeply loved. But it's like, I still get sad, and then I have to remind myself, you know, and then I actually move through a space of grief into a space of gratitude that she was my mother-in-law, you know. But it's like, I still have to go through that iteration, because I have to go through that process. Because healing isn't, you don't cross the finish line. It's not like I go, okay, I healed from, you know, having the world's greatest mother-in-law and then losing her. You know, I'm done. You know, no, it comes back up. And that's how this is. It's like, you know, there is with the Five of Cups, this like, man, you know, I made this decision, I wish I could change it, or I wish I could do something different about it, or I regret this, or I regret that, you know, but then there's this understanding of like, hey, no, that energy is only ever going to hold you back. There is something profoundly, you know, depressive and histrionic or something. I don't know. Histrionic is not the right word. But the Five of Cups is where we're always looking back on the things we wish we could change that we can't. That never serves. That's never going to be in your highest and best good. That's always going to hold you back. It's always going to keep you focused on the rearview mirror when we're not going that direction. We got to let that shit go. And we have to, you know, but we have to, you know, walk ourselves through that space. We have to remind ourselves, hey, there's a reason why I don't give into this energy. Hey, there's a reason why I observe it. And I let it float right on by. I don't let it unpack and stay. I don't let it trap me. I don't let it take me down in a bad path or a place that's not going to serve my highest and best. I let it go. But there's still this dance that happens where I kind of want to give into that energy. That's the human part of us, right? the part that can't just, you know, heal and be done with it. So then we have the Six of Pentacles with the Strength card. These two cards came up, right? So there is kind of an emphasis on this dance that happens, or this temptation even somewhat to get swept into that energy. The devil can be a temptation energy. But look at what we have here. We have the Strength card, which in my book is the antidote for the devil. This is where we overcome our lower vibrational tendencies. We talk to ourselves. We remind ourselves, hey self, that's not going to serve your highest and best good. Remember, you used to make decisions like that and your life reflected it. It's far more important to find the gift and stay aligned with what you desire. Remember how that works out for us? And I'm even being super attracted to the infinity symbol. And I actually saw that infinity symbol somewhere else in this reading, but I can't remember where, but I was also drawn to it. Wait, I think I know. Yeah. Oh my God. Remember on the bottom of the deck, we had going deep, and then we had a time for healing, and then we had honor your holy days. I was attracted to it here. It's more like an 8 than an infinity symbol, but the Strength card is the 8 card. So whatever, there's something here. And this is, my life is far too fucking precious to spend it like this. Yeah. So if I must walk away in order to be emotionally content, then I am strong enough to do that, and I am brave enough to do that. You know, I can't give, I can't overgive, I can't make up the difference anymore for people who don't turn their spiritual light on, you know, who aren't willing to. I have to be willing to walk away. I have to almost stay detached or even focused on myself to an extent that I can walk away if need be. This Moon card, I keep looking at it and it keeps giving me the mystery of life. The mystery of life. And it's like, I'm about to find out what happens when you do this. I don't know. That's what I'm getting. You take it as it resonates. But I have never been so committed to making this choice before. And so I'm going into new territory and I embrace it. That's what I'm getting. All right, let me dive into this, what's blocking the connection real quick. And then I'm going to dive into the surrender, and then we'll get some messages, and then we'll get out of here. All right. I don't know. I felt super guided to do this reading. I hope you guys are getting something out of it. And if you are, I would deeply appreciate it if you wrote something in the comments. I haven't been feeling well, and I didn't do a reading yesterday, but I felt good today, and I felt super inspired after my meditation. Look at that, giving too much, and it's on the Six of Pentacles, which I got this energy of like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say, you can't meet me where I am. I'm not doing it. I would walk away before I would overgive or create an imbalance. Thank God. There is a temptation here because it does feel like this masculine is giving off a little bit of an SOS energy, where it's like the temptation is, I think, in the action space of the feminine, it's even sort of responding. I'm getting almost chemically, like almost instinctually or something, like wanting to rescue the masculine, or kind of wanting to you know, fix things or overgive, or to say, you know what, I have it to give. I can do it. I can meet you more than halfway, kind of energy. There's a temptation because it's hard to see someone you love suffer, and it's hard to see someone isolate themselves and be on an island. But at the same time, there's something deep within you, I feel like, or this feminine, that knows that, you know, it's okay, and it's probably exactly what this masculine needs. And that maybe, you know, I'm allowing this situation to take up so much of my energy that I'm neglecting other parts of my life, or that maybe I even need to see what else is out there while this masculine makes up their mind, or, you know, or goes through this process. There's something here about maintaining connections, period. Not letting something that is kind of disconnected prevent you from having connection. there is this energy of like, what if I let go of this? If I have the opportunity to give more and make it work, but I let go instead, and then I never find anyone that is even flickering, you know? Because someone who has their light switch turned on meets a lot of people that doesn't have their light switch turned on. Because the person with the light switch turned on is like the moth to the flame for the people with no light switch turned on. Because they want to be that, they want to emulate that, but they get close to it and they're too threatened by it, and then they react. Anyway, there is this energy of, you know, I don't want to give too much. I've done that in the past. I know that it doesn't work, but there is something tempting me here. And what if, you know, having a light switch flickering is better than having no light switch at all? You know what I mean? So there are fears, and know that fear comes from a scarcity mindset, and you can even hear the scarcity in what I'm saying. What if I never find somebody else? Well, listen, you know, trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be, and that, you know, this person's either going to make up their mind to turn their light switch on or not. There's very little you can do about it. And if they don't turn their light switch on, it may stop flickering. It may turn off, you know. You just have to let it be and trust. I mean, I don't want to tell you how to be. I'm just a fellow traveler. I don't know more about life than you do. And I sure don't know more about your life than you do. But I'm saying I feel strongly here is this energy of temptation to like make up the difference for someone, or to like close the space or the gap here. But it has to be this person's decision to turn all the way on their spiritual light switch and become a vibrational match for you. Otherwise, you run the risk of turning your light switch off in order to become a vibrational match for them. And then there's the fear of cheating. And I'm actually getting two things from this. The first thing is that if I still have all these feelings for this person, and I go out and I'm trying to forge connections with other people, am I not being loyal to that? Will spirit, you know, then not allow this connection to be because I haven't stayed true to it? No, no. I get an energy of no. I don't know. It's just no. Okay, I don't know who that's for. But then also with the fear of cheating energy, it can also be that you may know that this person has been cheated on in the past, or loyalty is very important to this person. I don't think this is cheating. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I keep getting that. All right, now let's see what we can surrender. We have surrender your fear of intimacy. You are ready to let love in, compassionately identify and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening your heart. And then you have surrender to rest and sleep. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of a particular viewer when I'm holding this card. They know who they are. Okay, to prevent burnout, slow down, honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. And then you have surrender to complete healing, open fully to the loving, compassionate forces of the universe that support your physical and emotional and spiritual healing. This is giving me the masculine embracing energy. Someone may be surrendering to complete healing right now. All right, now let me get you some message cards, guys. Lord, what a reading. Okay. Here we have it. If you are dealing with a water sign, I'm just going to get a few message cards because this reading has been very in-depth. Okay. It's hard for me to explain things. Guilt. No one else matters now. If you're dealing with a fire sign, you're getting my nerves get the best of me sometimes. You are hard to forget, and my karmic story is ending. If you are dealing with an earth sign, you are getting I'm afraid to trust. Your words speak to me like no others can, and old flames. And if you're dealing with an air sign, you're getting triggered, guarded, and I regret how I handled things before because they were triggered and guarded. We saw that guarded energy. Okay, guys. Wow, what a reading. I really, really, really hope this helped. I hope this gave you a really in-depth look. I hope that, you know, at least parts of this reading resonated with you. And gosh, guys, I hope to see you back here very soon. Until then, I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.